to get to heaven.
You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Past episodes of the Authentic Business Adventures program can be found on the podcast link at drawincustomers.com. We are coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Radio Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan. I own businesses, I help businesses grow, and I write about businesses. Today we are welcoming / preparing to learn from Larry Cockerel, author, speaker, trainer, and coach. Larry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, James.
That is fantastic. So you got a long list of stuff that you do. I feel like we got a little bit of a brotherhood here because we do a bunch of the same stuff.
I think so, yeah.
That's awesome. So let's just go down the list here. Author. Tell me about you being an author.
Oh, I love writing, James. This is, I just released my 4th book.
Nice. Congrats.
I love the journey. That's been the whole thing with writing is once you get on the book and you're starting to write it, for me, it's about an 18-month, 24-month process.
Sure.
I just write.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a 9th grade dropout, right? So the editing and all that stuff takes the extra 20 months. But but once you're done with that project, what I found, James, like something's missing.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
fill the void.
Yeah, so it's like you're either writing, finishing, or starting. So I've already started the 5th book. We just released the 4th book.
Nice.
And the first one was on selling because I do a lot of sales training.
Okay.
And the other 2 were on cancer, what cancer taught us about life through a couple cancer journeys.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then let's go into speaker. Tell us about that.
Well, I like to talk.
Okay.
And now I realize, guess what? I can get paid for that, right? So, I feel, my mission is to add value to people and help people live the life they want. So how best to do that is through speaking, training, coaching, and then leaving a resource, leaving them something that they can take home and collect dust on the bookshelf.
Sure. Well, hopefully not collect dust, right?
Or pass on to somebody else. So so the speaking business is what helps feed the Cockerel Zoo. And then, so I just like going out and meeting. I'm finding that I used to speak to big groups, and I felt like as a speaker, I need to speak to a big, large group of people, and then I get to speak standing ovation, right?
Sure.
And
Doesn't
then
sound so bad.
and then I walk around and they'll say, "Oh, that was a wonderful speech." I'll say, "What'd you get?"
Sure.
And they'll say, "What was your name?"
Nah.
So then I kind of moved to more of a training with smaller groups. So then I felt like I could see that I was making a greater impact. And then from there, it's like, well, I'm getting hungry now to make a bigger difference. So now let's go to coaching.
Sure.
So where I can even go to smaller groups or one-on-one, and then I can really see, transformation, change, and new choices. So now I look at it like I need to do them all. But which one do I like to do the most?
Sure.
I love to write.
All right.
Yeah, and I love to read.
Sure.
Reading and writing. I didn't like arithmetic, though.
Sure. That's fair. That's fair. As long as you make some money doing it, you won't have to get that good at it, right?
You got it.
So how did you land in this author, speaker, trainer, coach realm?
Well, I think it came from corporate America. I spent a lot of years traveling the country, and I was more of like a trainer and then a fix-it guy.
Okay.
So if one of the branches was messed up, well, let's send Larry, right?
Okay.
He'll go anywhere. Feed him and he will go.
All right.
So whether it was Atlanta, Newark, New York, Dallas, I would go and I would fix the problems,
Okay.
rehire, retrain, whatever it was.
You're talking about white collar problems, not like somebody's engine broke down.
Right. No. I don't fix engines. That was your gig, James.
That's right.
Yes. I would go to the branches throughout the country, and after a while, I got to think, wow, I'm doing some good training here for them.
Sure.
Now, they're paying me a good pay, right? But it's like, well, maybe I can do this on my own. So I figured I'd do the one thing that everybody hates to do.
Sure.
Jump. Jump ship after a great, awesome salary, expense, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's what brought me to Wisconsin. So I grew up in Arkansas, and then I traveled around the East Coast to get here. And
Sure.
But that's when I realized maybe I have something that I can do on my own, and throw away the corporate salary and car allowance and expenses, and then go out there and basically be broke until someone hires me.
Sure. Now, how long ago was this?
That was 19 years ago.
Okay, so it's been a little while.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a roller coaster ride.
Okay.
James.
So 19 years ago, you saw a recession. Well, you actually saw two
I've
recessions.
I see a recession every day when I get up, James.
Sure.
If the phone's not ringing and somebody's saying, Larry, will you come speak, train, or coach? Can I buy your book? It's like, I'm telling my wife, I think we're in a recession.
Oh, we got a bad day at 6 a.m. and the phone hasn't rang.
Might as well stay home.
Sure. So you raise an interesting point then.
Yeah.
How do you market what you do to the people that you want to do it for?
Well, we market. Debbie helps me market. So
Debbie
she's
is
retired.
your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Something like that. I
Okay.
won't go deep with that, but
That's fair.
it's like a lease purchase program. But,
Sure.
Yeah, she retired from the government after 33 years, so she's home. And I'm thinking, well, shouldn't you be doing something?
Sure.
Other than just collect your pension. So she helps me market, and she helps us market to the American Cancer Society and all that, which we'll
Okay.
probably cover.
Sure.
Website, social media platforms, and as a sales trainer, I need to practice what I preach, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, so I go. Hello, my name is Larry.
Sure.
And I use my sales book as my business card.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
and then some of it's referral. Which
Okay.
we all like referral
Yes.
because it costs less effort, cost of acquisition of a customer. So,
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's it.
Okay. So did you start by writing or did you start by speaking?
Speaking and training,
Okay.
and then the writing came along probably about 10 years ago.
Okay. So that evolved a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I wanted to leave them with something. So I started a tip booklet. So I had these 123 tips on sales and networking. James.
Sure.
And my vision was that every salesperson, either male or female, the male
Sure.
would open up their blazer, their jacket,
Yeah.
and pull out the tip booklet before they go into the sales call.
Ah,
I'm
got this.
visualizing 8 billion
Sure.
people all over the planet.
Sure.
And every lady would take it out of their purse or whatever they got, or
Yeah.
their briefcase, and they would think, "Oh, what would Larry do?"
Oh, spinach to Popeye here.
Yes, and but I don't know how well that went. But then, but people would say, "Larry, the tips are great, but they're short." I said, "Well, it's a tip.
Yeah.
It's like a sentence,
Kind
right?"
of the idea.
Yeah.
These periods just look like
Yeah,
dots.
that's it. It's nothing. It says tip booklet, but then people would say, "Well, maybe I could use more."
Okay.
So I turned the tips into a book. The first book was called Closing Time.
Okay.
Now, if you're in sales, you kind of get the phrase closing time.
Absolutely.
Your boss says, "You better increase your closing or you're done," right?
Yep.
But not everybody got it, James.
Okay.
So if you wasn't in sales, people would come up to me and say, 123 tips at closing time?
Oh, they just assume it's
Yeah.
a 2 a.m. thing,
Yeah,
right?
2 a.m. in
I
the
gotta
morning in the
finish up
bar.
those
I said,
dates.
"No, that is not it.
Sure.
But maybe my sixth book will be that closing time
Sure.
book." So I realized that the title is critical
Mm-hmm.
for any book. You know, the title catches your eye and does, makes you go.
Right.
So I realized that not everybody understood closing time.
Mm-hmm.
They had the wrong impression. Great idea, though.
Right.
Help people find people at closing time.
Sure.
So then we changed it to selling time because it's really
Okay.
about selling time during those golden hours.
Right.
If you're in sales or business, because you want to generate more customers, more income, and all that good stuff.
Sure.
So we changed it about probably 5 years ago, and it helped. Because
Okay.
like any title,
So hold on, you changed the title of the whole book?
yeah, we changed the title of the book and we updated it because when I first wrote Closing Time, I didn't use a lot of digital stuff and
Okay.
social media, so we had to add some of that in.
Sure.
People like, "Larry, what about LinkedIn?" I said, "Well, I'm great on LinkedIn."
Sure.
Well, nothing in there about LinkedIn, right?
Oh,
Or Twitter.
gotcha. Okay.
So when we changed the title, we changed a little bit of the guts.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them a little more on where to go for certain things. Where LinkedIn
right.
might be better than
Sure.
Twitter and all that good stuff.
So then I have to ask you an author-to-author logistical
Okay,
question
shoot.
then. So is this another revision or is this considered a whole new book?
It's considered a whole new book because we changed enough and changed the title.
Gotcha, okay.
ISBN, the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So technically, I say I'm on my fourth book. I'm really on my fifth.
Sure.
But to me,
Sure, right.
yeah,
I get
it's the fourth. But I still had the closing time. I was looking at my an old YouTube thing not long ago because I got hundreds of YouTube videos on my video.
That you made?
Yeah.
Okay,
on
nice.
my video page.
Sure.
And a lot of them still say closing time.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So, and I get people that'll link, "Oh, thank you."
Nice.
It was 2 a.m. and I was at Benny and Barley's bar and I
Right.
read your tip number 152.
Right, it worked.
And I'm married now. And I said, "Well, God bless you."
Sure. That is awesome. All right. So you published your first book, you said, about 10 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. So 10 years ago, things were a little bit different in the publishing world.
Yes.
So Amazon wasn't quite the behemoth that it is. It was still
Right.
pretty big.
Yes.
But did you go through a publisher? Or how
Yes.
did
I
you
went through a local publisher I met through networking.
Okay.
I believe in meeting with people and just like us today.
Sure.
Sure, there's a lot of things like this are done by phone, but this one-on-one live, it's
Right.
it's perfect, James, what you're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to work with people. There's so many different on-demand printing, online printing. There's so many places where you can go get printed and published online.
Sure.
You never meet anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So, but I like that human contact.
Fair.
So even
Totally
though we
fair.
live in a digital world and social media and everybody likes everybody and shows what they eat, there's a point where
Right.
I want to connect. I want to deal with the local printer so I can go look at the book. I can talk to them and say, who do you know who might want my book?
Sure.
But I met this local printer publisher through National Speakers Association.
Okay.
And she became a very good friend of mine. And I've sent her a lot of business, and she helps me work. She don't, but a publisher doesn't sell your book for you. They just help you put it together.
Right.
Really.
Yep.
I needed an editor. I did tell you I'm like a 9th grade dropout, right?
Oh, my book has been gone through.
Oh my God.
A lot of times. I know because it costs a lot of money.
Yes.
But yeah, in the end, you're just making the product as good as you can.
The best you can. And a lesson I learned about 5 years ago from one of my mentors, who's written like 100 and something books, 26 million and all that stuff. He told me, he goes, Larry, how's that book coming along? I said, which one? He goes, any of them.
Sure.
I said, they're getting there. He goes, here, let me give you something. It's free. And this is for all the listeners who want to write a book.
Sure.
This is golden.
I'm
Are you
up
ready
in my
for
chair
it?
here.
I'm not even going to charge anybody for this. This is a free golden nugget. You didn't write the book for the book to be perfect. You wrote the book to help people.
Sure.
Minor nonfiction. If you wrote a novel or a fiction, you wrote the book to entertain people,
Sure.
right? You didn't write the book for it to be perfect. So now I accepted that. So I had to quit editing the same stuff. I'm writing it and I'm editing. How messy that can get. I'm missing the stuff that I started missing.
Sure.
That's why I realized I needed a book writing inner circle.
Okay.
That's another thing my mentor taught me is create a group that can help move you along. But the biggest thing and I coach a lot of speakers today, and I help a lot, and a lot of authors, speakers who want to be authors, because they've all been told as a speaker, get a book, you can make more money. Well, first you got to get the book, and then you got to sell the book, which is a whole nother gig. But you need an inner circle. So I help people do that. And the whole message I tell them throughout the process is when they say, Larry, I'm not ready to release it. And I'll say, well, I wonder why.
Sure.
Because it's not perfect. Well, who is, right? Don't write the book for the book to be perfect. If somebody comes to you and say, Larry, you misspelled a word. I said, blame my 5th grade to the second time in the 5th grade teacher.
Sure.
Here's what I'd rather tell them. Let me give you your money back. If that's all you got out of it, let me give you your money
Took
back.
me 3 hours when I found that missing
2
comma.
years later, right. So don't, when you're writing a book, so that gave me permission, James, to let all that fear go and just put it out. Now, if I'm going to revise it later, do something later with it, I can fix those issues.
Sure.
Because there's always people.
Absolutely.
That there's a thing about connecting or correcting. I'd rather connect with people and help people than correct people.
Sure.
But there are some folks out there in this big world that would rather correct us. So those who are correcting me along my path and they've never written a book, I take all those corrections. When it comes time to revise it, we'll go back and look. If they're right on the money, we'll fix them.
Sure. In the end, they read the book,
right?
Which is
hopefully
you as an
they
author
passed it on.
There's a lot of people that don't, right? They buy the book, they slap it on their shelf, and they look
Collect
at that.
dust.
Oh, one of these days I'm going to read that book, kind of thing.
One of these days I want to get rich. There's a book on how to get rich everywhere.
Hopefully,
right?
maybe in someday, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. So, you give me an interesting idea in regards to marketing. Maybe if I would just offer people $500 to show me an error in my book, they would actually read the book.
Right.
Because I find a lot of people, when I was asking for reviews and stuff like that, they're like, oh, I got started on it, but I never finished it or something like that. And then you ask them, like, do you read any books? Like, not trying to be mean, but just understanding, should I spend any time with you to try to get a review out of you? Or am I kind of asking a dog to meow? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And you find out, no, they really don't read books. The fact that they read a few chapters is monumental in the action that they've taken.
And when I do the advanced reader copy stuff, this is new stuff for me. So here's another powerful golden nugget.
Sure.
And it's a powerful question that I live by daily.
Sure.
What's the last thing you did for the first time?
The last thing I did for the first time.
Yeah. Now this is going deep. I'm not talking about going and getting. You got the red sauce versus the green sauce on your enchilada.
Sure. Right.
I want you to go deep. So with every book and with every project, we ask this question: what's the last thing that we did the first time in regard to a book? Okay. So when this most current book came out, I got flip charts around my house. My wife goes crazy, I'll also ask, there's one that says what's missing.
Sure.
And I'll say, Deb, dessert with the dinner you made. That don't go over well.
Gosh, if I said that to my wife, I'd get punched.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Okay.
As long as it's you and not me. But
Sure.
so we ask this question: what's the last thing we did for the first time with a book. So for the first 3 books, we didn't do advanced reader copies. I didn't even care to go get testimonials.
Sure.
Because I don't buy books based on a testimonial. I look at the title and I kind of read a little
Right,
bit,
right.
or it was a referral author or whatever. So with every project, we try to do new things.
Sure.
Something we'd never done before. So
Fair.
we did the advance, and we sent out like 25 advanced reader. But here's the question to kind of piggyback on where you're at. Before I even pick someone, I'll ask them a very powerful question.
Okay.
What you reading? I had one. Larry, I ain't read nothing since college. I said, well, how long have you been out of college? You're like as old as me, and I'm antique.
Sure.
And he goes, oh, probably 20. I said, you ain't read in 20 years. He goes, no, I don't need to read. I learned everything I wanted in college. I said, well, let me pray for you.
Sure.
And you're in sales, right?
Sure.
And so generational, social media, digital. So he did not get an advanced reader copy.
Fair.
Because I figured, why pay the postage? Why waste the book? If you ain't reading something else, you're not going to read it just for me.
Right.
So
Totally fair. Totally fair.
So I want to kind of do that one question interview. What you reading?
Right.
Oh, Larry, I just read The Shack, or I just read John Maxwell's Intentional Living, or I just read Zig Ziglar's Born to Win Again. And I'm thinking, well, you're a learner now. You're hungry. You're at the buffet of life. Would you like to read mine and give me some feedback?
Sure.
And then, yeah, I'd love it. I'll send it to you. So that's how I started that. So then on this last book, we did that, and we got testimonials. And I'm thinking, wow, those are pretty good testimonials.
Sure.
No, I didn't even pay you.
Did you? So you asked specifically for those?
Yes,
Okay.
I said, you're not obligated. I'm going to send you the book. You read it. If you feel that the book touched you, moved you, inspired you, encouraged, or if you think this message is worthy in the world today, and you want to get your name in print,
Right.
people like their name in print. No picture.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
my
it's
picture's
help
only
for
one
them,
on
right?
the back, right? Then you can do it, and I'll put you in the book. And then
Sure.
I'm going to send you a book, thanking you, a hardcover book that costs, and I'm going to send you a couple paperback books
Okay.
as my gift for you to give out to the world.
Sure.
So it costs me a little bit, but it's good marketing, right? Now my book is going different places,
Sure.
and it's going into hands of people that might really need that book that I just wrote.
That's fair. That's fair. That's awesome. Yeah, it's weird marketing a book because you
It's
write it
tough.
and you go through all that insane knowledge and intelligence that you have to go through to write the book, activity, right? Action
Yeah.
that you actually have to take to put pen to paper. Or...
Not all activity is action.
Right. But I mean, you actually had to go through a process to write the book, right? There's tons
Yeah.
of people that have that book in their mind,
Right.
but they never actually did anything to get it
A
done.
lot. I got a list of them here. They're all
Right.
they're asking me, Larry, can you help me? I'm saying, here's the first thing I can give you.
Sure.
If you're ready to write a book, listen carefully. Just start writing. Don't, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, right?
Right. Somebody else will fix all that. It's called an editor and a proofreader, and you have to pay them.
They cost a lot of money.
Yes, but at the end, you have a gift to the world.
Very true. Very true.
A gift to the world. That's the way I look at my book.
Yeah,
today.
so I ask my students all the time, because I got this business plan.
I feel like
class,
I'm
right?
your student today.
Right. Well, it goes both
Go
ways,
ahead,
right?
go ahead, go
Everybody
ahead.
can learn from everybody. So I got these students, and it's a business planning class, and a lot of them you can tell. I know statistically, 80% of them won't start a business in the next 6 months after they finish this class, right? They'll go through the process.
How
they'll
many
make the business
pages
plan.
is that business review? Is it like a 25-page?
The business plan?
Yeah, the
Oh, this is an 8-week course. So it's real.
Oh, okay.
It's real.
Cool.
So if they finish the business plan, most of them still won't start a business, which, given some of the business plans, that's probably a good thing. Other ones,
Wow, you really want to do that?
yeah, are you crazy? Like,
Jump! Not on. Yeah, go ahead. Jump
you
off
can
the
leave your
bridge.
six-figure job for making less than minimum wage, flipping pancakes or whatever it is you're going to be doing at your fancy restaurant. Anyways, they just won't do the business, or they won't start their business because they won't take that next step.
Right.
And sometimes they'll get hung up on something stupid, like, I don't know if I should have an LLC or an S corporation. Right?
Oh,
It's just like, that doesn't matter.
There's minors and majors in
Yeah,
life, right?
right.
That's a minor. If you have a great idea that you think could solve problems and help you live the life you truly want,
Right.
you just start. You start the race.
Just like-
Starting's easy.
Right.
Ending is what? Starting is easy, but
Okay.
ending is tough.
All right.
Because not everybody ends, right?
All right,
we,
right.
we get to run. I'm running that 25. I'm 59, almost 60, James. I'm going to run that marathon in Boston. How many miles is that, baby?
26.2.
I can barely even say 26. I don't even walk a mile.
Come on, there's 80-year-olds doing that thing.
Well, they must run a lot. But if I'm going to do that, I got to prepare. You know,
Absolutely.
So, and then I got to just start.
Right.
But you're right. They'll get the business plan, but then we always got the reasons. Got to wait till the kids get out of school.
Right.
Got to wait till the snow dries. You know, no, it's just start. And
So
that's what I tell people
right.
with a book. Just start writing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, like I ask the students, I say, okay, let's just say you didn't start your business because of whatever excuse you want to fill in right now. How is the world going to suffer by not having your business? And if you have to pause and think, well, how will they suffer?
Yeah. Are they going to suffer?
Maybe you shouldn't start a business.
They're
right?
not going to suffer, James. Keep your job.
Yeah, it won't even be a blip.
Yeah.
But in case like, oh my gosh, I'm filling this missing link, or there's this need that the world currently needs. It's not being fulfilled, and if I don't do it, I don't know who else will.
Right. Somebody will. It's I love it when you're sitting back and you're thinking, well, hold up, that was my idea 5 years ago. You know, but I never started.
It was on the someday pile for me getting into it. Right?
It was on that business plan.
Right.
Let me go get that off the
Right.
shelf and dust that Bible off. You know, and then you got the budget.
Yeah.
So you got to get the business plan, that budget, and that budget gets tough.
You're talking about starting a business?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we update our budget every year and sometimes twice a year to see how we're doing. And we do like a 3-page business plan every year, and we kind of keep. It's almost like updating the book.
Sure.
But that budget gets tough. And then you got to look in the mirror and have a conversation with that person. Do I really want to let go of that?
Sure.
Do I want to let go of those new chrome pipes from my Harley every year for $750?
Right.
They sound just like the ones I'm replacing. You know, and I've worked with a lot of business owners over the years.
Sure.
And the budget is tough. The business plan's hard. But, when they get going, it's the budget.
Sure.
You know, they just see, they struggle with having to actually define the personal and expenses, business expenses, and then
Oh, yeah.
how do I manage it?
Or how do you even price your stuff? That's a huge one people
that's
get
a
caught
big
up on.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So you lead a great segue there. You speak and you got the book and you do training and stuff like that. So a lot of that's not necessarily commoditized to a point, right?
Right.
So it's not like you can't just go like, okay, I'm selling a gallon of milk. A gallon of milk goes for whatever. So how do you price your stuff? Was that a challenge or is that a challenge?
Well, it's always a challenge, especially in the speaking business. You know, there's ranges. So in the speaking industry, there are ranges that are out there that I don't know who built them.
Sure.
But they're out there. So they give you a range. But, you know, in today's world, it's not the same. Like everything changes, you know. So 10 years ago, your fees could be one thing. Now today, the people who are booking you have a tighter budget.
Oh,
They want good for less.
Sure.
They want more for less, right? So I've learned to be flexible.
Okay.
So I've just learned to be as flexible. You know, I try to not do a lot of free stuff anymore. I did all that free stuff early on.
Sure.
You know, 18 years ago, to feed me and I will speak.
Sure. Right. Right.
You know, I'll go speak to lunch.
To get your name out there?
Yeah,
or just
to get and practice too.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm working on this one material, the best way to work on the material is to be in front of a group.
Sure.
You know, you have a little audience and see what the feedback is. Are they asking you questions afterward?
Right.
Do they even remember your name?
Sure. Just looking at you like a zombie. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
like
that one didn't go so well.
When they're looking at the watch, it's worse, James. Are
Sure.
you done? You know, I remember once I had this program, and it was early on.
Sure.
I was living in Baltimore at that point. I was starting out this new program, and I found a place where I could book it real cheap, and I got a bunch of people in there.
Sure. Nice.
And it was going to be like a one-day program.
All right.
I gave them like 5 days worth of stuff
Sure.
in less than that one day.
All right.
You know, and I think they felt like they were hostages for a
Okay,
few
just
minutes.
pounding it hard here.
Don't crawl out that door. I'm telling people, lock the door. Don't let them
Sure.
out. You know, because I had something to give. But then I realized it wasn't about me.
Ah, gotcha.
So what
All right.
do they want? What
Sure.
do they need? Not what I want to feed them, right? So if I go to the restaurant and they just put the food in front of me,
Right.
it's like, well, I didn't order that. Well,
Sure.
we know that's what you want. And how do you know? I don't even eat that.
Sure.
You know, my mama tried to feed me Brussels sprouts. I'd run away from home.
Sure.
So, you know, but
Nice.
so I had to realize that I couldn't feed them what I wanted to feed them.
Sure.
But I remember that first program. Those people would never come back. If they ever heard Larry's in town, they probably moved.
Okay.
You know,
Is
how
that
do you
bad?
how do you get 5 days of content in a 6-hour program?
Quickly and hard.
Oh yeah.
Push hard. We're not taking a break.
Yeah. No, you ain't. But don't. You gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Should have done that for it. Didn't your mama tell you
Right.
to go to the bathroom before you leave the house?
No, that's one of the. See, it's interesting you talk about that because I went to some Tony Robbins events, and that's one of the things that I loved about it is that there were no breaks, or it was rare that there was a break. It was just expected that we're going for 18 hours. If you have to pee, you have to get up and go.
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to keep moving without you because we got thousands of people here. So for us to realistically take a break is just logistical.
And if you miss out on that very important part,
yeah,
don't ask for no refund.
Right.
Ain't my fault you went to the bathroom.
Right. So they just go. Which
so I've gotten a little better at that to where now I do my best to work at the pace.
Okay.
Because I hope that they'll hire me back then.
Sure. Right.
Work at the pace that the people want.
Sure.
But if they're watching their watches and they're hitting the other person beside saying,
right.
Are you ready?
Wake up.
Let's run.
Sure.
It's like escaped convicts.
Sure.
One time I thought it was like Alcatraz. They were busting out. But you learn, right?
Sure.
You learn.
Right.
There's an old saying, it's a great book. Sometimes you win, sometimes you what?
Learn.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people will answer it the other way. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Sure.
But it's really sometimes you learn.
Right.
And it's a great book that we practice through the John Maxwell program.
Sure.
But that book taught me a lot about how to do better programs.
Sure.
And how to add value to people and not make it about me.
Mm-hmm.
Make it about them. Give them what they want.
Sure.
And hopefully then we're changing lives.
Right. So 19 years ago, let's downshift into you actually quitting your job, starting your business.
I had long hair back then, too.
Okay, well, that's all right. Yeah, there's a time.
I wore sandals.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So were you married at the time?
No.
No, when you quit your job?
No.
Was not. Okay.
No,
so
but Debbie was there.
Debbie was there. Okay.
She was wondering, what are you doing?
Okay.
But
so
go.
you're like,
I said,
hey,
trust
funny
me.
story. I'm quitting my job.
Trust me, baby.
All right.
I know what I'm doing. I got
Sure.
a business plan. And your budget.
Sure. So how did you save some money? Did you put some money aside so that you
I
could
thought I did. And lessons are to be shared, right?
Sure.
What comes to us and the mistakes we make,
Sure.
as in this book I just wrote, it took me 40 years to put that baby together, but it's supposed to flow through us.
Right.
So all these lessons now, I want to share with people. You know, if you're telling me you got this idea and you want to start a business, I want to say, let's sit and talk.
Sure.
Let me coach you along a little bit. Let me tell you what didn't work. Let me tell you what worked. Now, when I jumped that first time,
Sure.
when I hit bottom,
Yeah.
it hurt. I didn't even have my helmet on. John.
Okay. All right.
But how better to learn?
Sure.
Like we spoke earlier, sometimes you just got to start. You start your race. No one else's race, though.
Right.
The problem is sometimes we catch ourselves running somebody else's race.
Sure. It's fair.
We don't want to run anybody's race. Listeners, do not run anybody's race but your own in life. Sometimes if you have it and you got and it's burning and you're waking up Sunday night and you're like, your stomach's hurting and you're thinking, I'm so sick of going that job. I have this dream. I tell people, go ahead and go for it. Guess what? There's a job out there for you. If you want to work, you can get a job. Might not be. I like it when I'm interviewing people all over the country, which I did for the last 2 years. People come up and I'd say, well, this is the income. No, that's not what I was making at my last job.
Sure.
I'll say, well, it's only $55,000, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Well, I was making 70. I said, well, that was then.
Right.
How much you making now?
Sure.
Well, nothing. Wasn't 55 better than nothing? So if there's something burning and you have this big passion, sometimes you just got to go for it. If it flops, learn, make a U-turn, readjust.
Right.
Kind of like closing time to selling time. Figure out what didn't work, what you should have done better, and get up and get going again.
Yep.
Or go get a job again and build up some more income because you got to pay your bills, right?
Right.
So I did put money aside.
Okay.
So I learned that by listening to other people.
Sure.
Larry, if you're going to jump, make sure you had 6 months.
Right.
6 months of what? Food?
Right.
6 months to at least cover your bills.
Sure.
And by the fourth month, if you're not making money,
Plan B.
you better go get you a job.
Yep.
Do something, right? So you go for it. Sometimes you just go for it.
Sure.
But you can't just work off hope. 'Cause
Sure.
we all know hope's not a strategy.
No.
No. So I hope I make it.
Right.
Well, I hope you do too.
I was just talking to a client this
Go ahead.
morning about hope, because I said there's two things in the world that you can make money at selling, and you can do very well selling them. It's pride and hope. You sell those two things, like you sell your fancy car, right? People aren't buying that because they think it's more reliable,
Right.
They're buying it because of pride. They want that status and all that jazz, right? Same thing with hope. How many people buy exercise videos and never even crack the box open, right? Because they're selling hope.
And again, they're going to be selling them real quick before New Year's.
Right, absolutely, right?
New
Filled with
Year's
hope.
Eve.
Come
Hope.
January 2nd.
Yeah, that is the day of hope.
That's
James
it.
and I just titled that is the day of hope.
The day of hope, right?
And people are going to be selling you everything, right? You might even be selling it.
Right. They got the exercise bike or whatever that turned into a clothes hamper and all that jazz. Like, that's all hope, right?
Yeah, that's hope.
All hope.
Yeah, I don't want to base my life on. I want to offer hope.
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage that stirring in your gut.
We got to convert it essentially from hope to accomplishment.
Yeah, and then some action plans and maybe a business plan, maybe a budget. You got to put the pieces of the puzzle together, or the puzzle never comes together.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to the cancer center, a lot of the cancer centers, James, have puzzles out.
Okay.
For people like me who are waiting to see a doctor.
Okay.
Now, if you ever have to go to the doctors, there's a waiting room.
Sure. That's why they call them patients, right?
Yeah. You better have some pay because that's the first waiting room.
Sure.
And then it's like, Larry, let's move to the other. And then you're in another waiting room.
And
it's like,
this is a
how
quieter
many
waiting
waiting
room. Right.
It's a little smaller because you're paying less.
Sure.
But they have these puzzles out there. And I look at these, they're like 1,000-piece puzzle.
How long do they think they're going to be waiting?
Not a long time. And I'm not detail focused enough for that.
Sure.
But then I'll look at them. So we were at the cancer center not long ago at Freighter, and I'm looking at the puzzle that's been sitting on that table.
Sure.
It's coming alive.
Okay.
Somebody has patience in
Right.
detail.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, but when you do have that stir in your heart and your gut, and you want to do something, and you want to jump, you do have to put some puzzles together, right?
Sure.
And as you spoke, the business plan, as you help people with, and the budgets, and the true vision, to where hope is just encouragement, but you got to have some building blocks.
Right. Absolutely.
You got to have some real facts, some stuff that makes sense where you can say, "Yep, I can do that." And then you got to do the hardest part: start.
Yeah.
Action.
Right.
Sales. I talked to a lot of new authors who are getting their book going, and I'll somewhere in between me meet with them. And there was one that actually lives here in Sun Prairie I met in Madison. She got her book going.
Nice.
And I told her before she did, I said, there's one more. She met me again, and she goes, Larry, you helped me build my inner circle, all that. I said, great, wonderful. You helped me go from 19 chapters to 9. I said, that's wonderful.
Sure.
I'm glad I could help you. My name's Larry. I'm your friend, right?
Right.
And then I said, there's something I left out in our first meeting.
Okay.
That's vital to your success. She goes, what's that? I said, now you got to put your sales hat on. Well, what? I'm not in sales. Oh, yeah, you are.
Everybody's in sales.
If you have a product or service,
Yeah.
you're in sales.
Yep.
And you're right. You hit what I preach every day. If you deal with people, you're in sales. And I'll tell teachers, preachers, it don't matter.
Oh, yeah.
You're selling a principle, a philosophy, an idea, a product or service.
Right.
If you deal with people, you're in sales. They'll look at me kind of fuzzy-eyed. You mean I got to sell this book? And I said, well, I'm not.
Right.
I got my own to sell.
Right.
Yes, you got to sell. And you don't have to be a pushy salesperson, but you got to sell the book. Because you can be an author, but until somebody gets it, are you really an author? You create this product,
Sure.
but until it's in somebody's hands,
Right.
it's on your shelf.
Then it's just art.
It's boxes. I tell people, quit stepping over the dead bodies in
Sure.
the garage or the basement
Sure.
or your living room. So one lady said, I said, where's all your books? She goes, we're in the house. I said, how many cases you got in there? She goes, well, I got about 20 cases in the living room. I
Holy
said,
cow.
for one thing, we're on print on demand,
Right.
You don't have to spend $10,000.
I was just going to say, holy cow.
You don't have to buy 10,000, but I got them cheaper. Well, what good is it then?
Once.
Yeah, if they're in your house. I said,
Right.
next time I see you, I want them in your car. I want you to go get a little carry case. So I took her out to my trunk, James, and I showed her these 3 little carrying cases.
Sure.
I get at Myers, Walmart, and Home Depot for $10.
Sure.
They got a little thing at the top where my business cards and pens. So each book has its own case. I said, I want you to have cases. I want them in your car. Because I want to walk out to your car and get one. I want you to sign it to me.
Sure.
And then maybe even ask me for some money. Larry, do you think you want to pay for that book?
Sure.
No, but I will now that you asked.
Right.
So you got to sell the product.
Yeah. That's the name
The
of the
business
game.
plan is no good.
No.
The budget ain't going to work. You got to ask for the money.
The implementation, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people implement the implement, right?
Greet, sell, and collect.
That's right. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Let's shift into you converted essentially, or you went from speaking and training to author. How did you know that you wanted to write a book? Or did you know that you wanted to write a book?
I didn't know at first.
They just told you, go write a book.
Yeah, somebody.
You're
Debbie
speaking
said,
now.
you better do something.
Sure.
You jump ship. You're at home too much.
Oh, okay.
You better get active. I said,
Sure.
yes, ma'am. I just felt it.
Okay.
When you feel something right, like we spoke about, you got to do it. You got to take action.
Sure.
That was it. So I never was a big reader. I never read a novel until a couple years ago. I think the first book I ever read was The Godfather and Louis L'Amour Country Things back in the 70s.
Okay, sure.
But I just knew that I wanted to do it. So once I started the first one, it was I was like I hate to use this phrase, but tell me if I'm wrong. I was like the crack addict.
Sure.
And
more.
Yeah, the book was like my dealer, right?
Sure.
It's like, Larry, you ready for another hit? And I'm thinking, yes, because it hooks you. So when I finished that first one, and it's like, I got to sell it. Now I got to put my sales hat on. I'm a sales trainer, right? It's always easier to teach than do.
Right.
I learned that, folks. It is true. And but then I realized something was missing. I wasn't writing every day. I wasn't researching. I wasn't reading. I wasn't asking questions. There was something missing. So in my house, on an orange flip chart sheet of paper, there's a big question, 2 words.
Okay.
It's powerful. I've done whole one-day programs on this, James.
Okay.
And folks, if you're listening, write this down and put it in your house. Put it on the refrigerator. What are refrigerators good for, James?
Keeping stuff cold.
And putting stuff on.
Okay.
Magnets. And Larry's thing, it's just 2 words, what's missing. So I realized something was missing in my life. And that was a desire to keep writing, to give people something, and to maybe the book goes someplace to people. Now my book is in Egypt. It's in Guatemala.
Sure.
This newest one. So it's going to places where I cannot go to offer hope, encouragement, and help someone. So then if my legacy and my mission on my website says making a difference on purpose, right? So if I'm going to live that, I need to give people stuff. Not everybody's going to hire Larry and have them lock him into a room for 8 hours and give him 5 days worth of content. There we go again, that guy. And so once I finished that first one, I realized I had to start the second one. Now I read a lot of authors. Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Love, and Pray. It became a movie.
Sure.
Maybe one of mine will be a movie. That was her 17th book.
Okay.
Zig Ziglar. I've been part of Zig Ziglar's selling value certification training thing.
Right.
It was 17 years before he started getting paid for speeches.
All right.
And then he was considered like the grandfather of motivation.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
My mentor, John Maxwell, 11 books before he started selling books. So I sell them, but I want to sell more. Not just to sell a book, but to help people and to be able to have funds to keep writing and printing and doing more books.
Right, because you know the quality of what you put together in that book. Yeah. So, you know, these books aren't doing any good on the shelf. So they got to get in front of people.
Yeah, they got to get in the hands of people who also tell other people or hand the book. And I want to give. I want to have this resource to give to people. And plus it takes time. And then somebody will say, well, Larry, you're always busy. How do you write?
Sure.
I said, well, I write with an ink pen and a pad and a
Literally?
Word. Yes. And a Word document.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have to check my spelling. That
Sure.
Word document, everything's underlined in red. And I'm thinking, what's this thing doing?
Right.
It's like a smartphone or something
just
trying to
telling
tell
you
me
good
what to
job.
do. Larry, you're stupid.
Sure.
And then they said, where do you write? Because you're always on the road. You're always traveling. I said, well, there's 3 companies I've worked with over the last 15 years who's had me traveling all over the country. And guess where I had to stay?
Hotels?
Yes, Holiday Inns, Country Inns.
Sure.
What a better place to write.
Sure.
I don't have the disturbances of home.
Right.
Plus, when I looked at it after all these years, I brag about it now. The companies who sent me all over to do training and all this stuff, these 3 key companies, they pay for me to write my books.
That's
all
right.
I was in a non-disturbed area because you do have some quiet. You need quiet time for to allow your
no
thoughts.
Interruption.
Yeah, Elizabeth Gilbert on her newest book, Big Magic, talks about how you need to you got to let it flow.
Sure.
John taught me you didn't write the book to be perfect, so don't stop because you think you're messing up on the words.
Sure.
But now I'm writing my 5th one technically, which is called Simply Listen.
Okay.
Now, James, this is a big one.
All right.
Here
I go.
You want to know why?
I do.
Because I'm terrible. I'm a terrible listener. I forget names. I had to, you told me your name out front, and I had forgot it. I'm just terrible. Now Debbie says, I want to write a chapter. I said, what's going to be the chapter? She goes, Larry, don't listen. So I wrote in the book, I'm about 3 or 4, and this is a 20-month process.
Sure.
I wrote in the book that this book is, if you're not reading it, it's okay. Because I've realized now books are also meant for the writer.
Absolutely.
Right? You
Huge.
grow, you transform. I wrote in the book that I'm going to be a better listener. I promised Debbie. When I finish this 24, I said, Debbie, just give me 24 months, baby.
I'm just going to kick this can
24 months, and I'll promise you,
Sure.
I'll be a better listener. I said, you remember, I had cancer on the right side, so my right ear is not good. Yeah, I use that cancer card every once in a while, James.
Right.
What'd you say? Are you talking to my right ear? Because I had radiation on the right side of my neck. But I'm really enjoying this project because I believe everybody can get a little better at listening.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, me definitely as well there.
What's my name?
It's something with an L, right?
Yeah, Lenny. For a while I'd carry around those little blue stickers.
Okay.
Hello, my name is.
Oh, funny.
And I'd go into some place and there's a lot of people and they're like, my name is this, my name is that. And then I carried my little pad around that Sam Walton taught me to carry.
Sure.
Been carrying this pad around since 1983. Not the same one, though.
Sure.
It looks like it, though, right? But I get them at Walmart.
Okay.
But I'd start writing them down. Then I thought, well, I'll carry those hello, my name is.
Sure.
And I'd give them to people. So if I'm at this company, I was in this company in Green Bay I was working with, and it's a family business. They had like 20 people in there, and they all remember, hey, Larry, glad to see you.
Sure.
Well, sure you are. I'm bringing a lot of treats. I got cookies, pies. Plus, I'm just a great guy to see, right?
Sure, right?
And then I finally start saying, could you put the sticker on for me? That didn't go over well.
No.
But I believe that once I write this book, I'll be a better listener. If I can be a better listener, then anybody can be a better.
Because now you're obligated to.
I've already. It's in writing.
Because now people are going to say, Larry, do you remember my name? I read
Who?
chapter 3 in your book, right? Did you use that skill?
Is it Johnny?
Sure, right? Interesting. So tell me, what is your favorite part about owning your own business?
Freedom.
Freedom. All right, tell me about that.
Freedom to kind of do what you want, but also understand that you don't get paid till you do something. So,
amen to that.
I love to walk in the morning. I love to get up and have that think time. That allows me. I've gotten up and, been on tool trucks at 5:30 in the morning till 8:30 at night.
Sure.
It's the freedom to kind of choose who I want to work with. I remember my tax accountant a few years ago. She goes, Larry, I've never dealt with anybody who had multiple W-2s. How do you get multiple W-2s?
Sure.
I said, well, I work for multiple companies.
Sure.
That way I'm not just tied to one company. Larry, you will do this or else.
Right.
Well, my stepdad said that too. He said, you'll live under my roof or you'll do this, But,
sure.
So it gives me the freedom to decide who I want to work with. And then if I'm picking those folks that I want to work with, these companies or associations or individual business owners, then I'm truly passionate about working with them. I'm not just going there to get a paycheck anymore. So, I got audited once.
Okay.
And they had a hard time doing the audit because it was weird, And
Sure.
I said, was it me or the paper?
Sure, right.
They said both. But they said, well, and they went back to that. How can you work for two companies 40 hours a week?
Oh.
I said, I don't. That's 80 hours.
Sure.
Now I have 3 W-2s. That's 120 hours a week.
Right.
A homie needs to sleep and eat.
Sure.
And ride my Harley.
So they're questioning you claiming all this?
Yeah, well, they didn't understand how I did it.
Oh, okay.
I said, well, if the company gave you a W-2, they're honest because they're big companies.
Sure, right.
Big Wisconsin-based companies.
Yeah.
So they're not lying. I don't work for them full-time. So some companies I'll work for part-time. Some I'll do under 1099s. So
Sure.
Under my company.
Sure.
But it's the freedom to choose who you work with.
Right.
And what you do with your time, because we know that you can get money.
Right.
You can get more money, folks.
Right.
But one thing you can't get.
Time.
Right. The richest folks and the brokest folks, we all had the same common thread.
Same 24 hours in a day as Warren Buffett, right? True story. Do you have employees at all?
Debbie, I hope you're
I'm
not
not
listening.
I'm not going to count your
James,
There's no way in the world that
you're
you can
trying to
count
get
your
me to
wife.
my sixth wife, aren't you? No.
No, okay.
I've hired people to help, like a 1099
Gotcha,
contractors.
Okay.
And then I'll network. So let's say I'm working with this company or the association or conference, and they're saying, Larry, can you speak on this and this and this?
Sure.
Now, 15 years ago, I said yes to every one of those.
Okay.
And then I realized I'd had to do a lot of prep work because I wasn't the expert.
Sure.
And I don't think I did well. So now I say no, and yes. But
gotcha.
I know people who are experts in that area. Let me bring them on if you'll trust me.
Sure.
And then I'll bring people into the picture.
Gotcha. You raised an interesting point that I forgot to ask you about in regards to marketing your speaking business.
It's not my age, is it?
What's that? No.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't care about your age.
All right, good. Thank you, Dave.
This is not authentic nursing home adventures or anything like that. Your marketing of your speaking business, how is that different than marketing the books and stuff like that? Or what do you do to get speaking gigs and all that?
It's big. You hope they find you.
Okay.
Serious. There's speaker bureaus.
Okay.
Actually, I'm interviewing with one tomorrow morning.
Okay.
That's one reason staying over here. And,
sure.
So there's different areas. There's different online programs.
Okay.
That where speakers, people who want to book speakers go to. It's
sure.
easier than for them time-wise.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to this platform where they might have 200 speakers.
Sure.
And then they can go search and research who they want, and then they'll send you an email.
Okay.
Talking to companies.
Okay.
So one question I might ask a company is, "Oh, Larry, I love that book."
Yeah.
Okay. Or I like that sales training.
Sure.
My next question is, do you do an annual conference?
Ah.
So maybe we can go to Vegas.
Sure.
Or Orlando or somewhere, right? Or New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So I go that route. You got to ask.
Sure.
Referrals.
Okay.
And then we go look for people.
Okay.
Debbie does a lot of marketing for me. So she'll go out and I'll say, here's your whole bunch of associations.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find out, do they have annual conventions?
Sure.
And then we go to find the program director and we pitch ourselves.
Okay.
Hey, would you be looking for a breakout session or a keynote speaker and
mm-hmm.
or both? Maybe I can save you time and money by doing both
sure.
for one fee.
Mm-hmm.
So we do it that way. The books are actually tougher.
Okay.
Training, some people will find me.
Sure.
They can Google. If you Google my name, I'm like 3 or 4 pages.
Okay.
And then by the 5th page, guess what you're going to find, James?
I don't know.
A chicken.
Okay.
Because a cockerel is a form of a chicken.
Huh.
Now, Debbie didn't know that, but we were at the Ozaki County Fair a couple of years back. She
sure.
liked to go look at the little animals.
Mm-hmm.
We were walking around the chickens and everything, and she stopped. I said, come on, Deb, let's go. Let's go get us a corn dog or something.
Right.
And a beer. And she goes, well, what's that, Larry? I said, well, that's a chicken. She goes, no, it ain't. It's a cockerel. It's spelled just like your name. I said, well, that's like my great-great-grandpa or uncle
sure.
or something. So if you go too far, then you find a chicken.
Sure.
So sometimes when I'm doing a program, I'll put that on the PowerPoint.
All right.
Let me introduce my history. Let me
sure.
give you some DNA history. And, that family tree stuff, right? I'm going to share my family tree, and there's a big chicken up there. And then people say, I've seen that at the county fair. I said, well, you didn't see me.
Sure, right.
But then I connected with the people.
Mm-hmm. Because they get it. I get it. Sure.
The books are the toughest. So when people ask me, what do I do now? I tell them, first, I'm an author.
All right.
Because I have something that they could go right out. Guess
mm-hmm.
where we can walk out to right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
Sure.
My car.
Trunk of your car.
Yeah. I'm like a traveling salesman.
Pick a bin. Which
one
you
want? Or just pick all 3.
Sure.
Because I heard you got a lot of money.
Yeah, right. I know that you're a good reader. Here we go.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the worst decision that you've made in your business and what was the fallout from that?
Yeah, the worst decision, and I share this a lot with speakers and trainers and authors.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go out there creating all this fluff.
Okay.
So early on, I would spend all this money, these 3-page brochures.
Oh, sure.
Oh, boy, and, all this.
They look good.
It's fluff. Yeah, it looks good. And the money's going down the drain.
Sure.
Like Debbie said, where's your money? I said, there it is. Look at that beautiful thing with my picture on.
And there it goes.
She said, I don't see that. I have to look at you every day.
Sure.
So you don't need all that anymore. You can create a PDF, as we call it, like a sales sheet or a 1-page.
Sure.
Tell some of the benefits of why somebody would work with you. Put your picture there because they want to see what you look like. Oh, God, I don't want to work with him. Look at him.
Not this guy.
Where's he from?
Sure.
I'm from Arkansas, right? And you could put that as a download on your website. So whatever you do, that's the biggest. If I look back, about 18, 17 years ago, where did a lot of money, because I set aside a budget. I'm jumping ship, right?
Sure.
Do not waste your budget. You can get business cards online. Business cards are easy to get.
Sure.
I don't, and James, you and I are a lot like, we don't waste the real estate of a business card.
No,
there's stuff on the front, the back. Mine opens up and there's a picture. Howdy, my name is Larry.
Sure.
But these brochures and all this stuff, the fluff, it's bling. I don't wear bling.
Right.
Use the money to pay the bills while you build your dream. That was a mistake that I learned hard on.
That's fair.
And it adds up fast.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you'll look at it and you think, well, I wish I would have done this. And then you're going back to the person, could you do this? And they'll say, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When do you want it, Larry?
Right.
You got your checkbook? Is that cash, check, or credit card?
Right.
So the biggest lesson is enough with the fluff. Don't waste your money on stuff that you think people are going to buy.
Sure.
They're going to buy you.
Right. Fair. Totally fair. That's awesome. Do you have, going into books now, do you have a favorite business book?
Well, I got a bunch.
Okay.
But one of the ones is called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Okay.
No, I did not write
John
that.
Maxwell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not write it. I wish I would have.
Sure.
If I would have, I'd be rich and we would be doing this in Boca Raton,
A
Florida.
fancier studio.
I asked James, James, Larry, you going to come visit with me? I said, well, where you at? He goes, Sun Prairie. And I said, is that like Florida or California, West Palm Beach? He goes, no, it's right outside of Madison.
Yeah, 2 days a year, it's totally
Is there
like
snow there?
Sure.
But the 15 Invaluable Laws, there's a bunch of them because I got a big library at home. I don't call this a book I read.
Okay.
This is a book I study. So
Okay.
there's Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Sure. Yep.
They talk about Walgreens. They talk about these companies. And so I look at books in two ways.
Okay.
If I'm reading a Nicholas Sparks book, a novel, it's a great read. It takes me on a roller coaster. I'm crying. I'm loving. I'm praying for him.
Sure.
I'm ready to send him a check. And it's like, wake up, Larry. That's.
We'll get through this, Nicholas.
But then there's, yeah, right. I'm with you, brother. And then there's books I consider a study.
Okay.
So when I read books, Debbie tells me I'm ruining the book. I said, well, that's my book, Debbie.
Sure.
You ain't my mama.
Reading your book?
My
or
mama
reading...
is in Cabot.
Okay.
And 15 Invaluable, because I write the page numbers. We all do something.
Oh, sure.
Y'all do the old dog ear or
Yep,
something.
yep.
I write the page number up in the front. So when I want to go back to that book, or my heart's pulling on me to get back to that book, which it did recently for that one, to prepare for Costa Rica, is I could go right to I can open it up, and there's pages that changed my life or inspired me.
Sure.
I go right to that page first, and why did I write that page number? And then I might have it underlined. I go right to the source,
Sure.
to that food.
All right.
So that one is just powerful. We used that one first when we went to Guatemala.
Okay.
We were doing this transformational deal
Sure.
to train the whole country.
Okay.
And we used a lot of the laws out of that book. And it was funny. We went there to begin a transformation in Guatemala with 13 million people.
That's a lot
But
of people.
what we realized was, and we were only there 3 days, we were going to train probably 10,000 people.
Okay.
It was like a train the trainer.
Sure.
It's round tables on these laws and values. But what we realized when we were done, once the Godfather and the Chief Indian gave us a party that last Saturday night,
Sure.
is we were the ones being transformed.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Sure.
Oh, it was so powerful, James. But that book has been just life-changing for me.
Nice.
And I go back to it a lot.
Okay.
But there's a lot more. But that's one that's just now for your readers. I would say the number one book is Your Life Matters.
I'm totally okay with
self-promotion,
Plug away,
folks.
man.
I'm sorry,
Plug away.
but that book there, and I don't know if I can go there and share a little bit about
You
it.
can, absolutely.
Yeah, I tell people that. Well, Larry, how long did it take you to write the book? I said 40-something years.
True.
40, I think almost 43 years. 43 years. What are you, stupid? Are you a slow writer?
Sure.
I said no. It was chapter 4, which was originally chapter 1, because the book will evolve. So how you begin with your book don't always how you end. It's kind of like the old leadership. Those who begin with you very seldomly end with you. It's a leadership principle. A book will change. Titles will change. The original title for this book, James, was Get Out, Stay. And I know you had the book, and I know you've looked at it, and I appreciate that. The original title a couple years ago was Get Out, Stay Out.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, that after about a year I'm reading that, and I'm thinking, Debbie, that sounds kind of rough, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds
I
like
don't know
something.
that I'd pick that book up.
I don't even want to touch it anymore. It sounded like something my stepdad said, and I said, yes, sir. But and then we realized the message is there. Get out, stay out. Get out of the life you don't want. Stay out and go live the life you want.
Sure.
Which is really the message. But the message can't be tied into that title.
Right.
And then I stepped back and we started doing our brainstorming and flip charts around the house that Debbie loves. Is what am I really wanting to tell people?
Sure.
If I could tap 8 billion people on the shoulder on the planet, what would I want to tell them?
Sure.
I want to tell them your life matters.
Fair.
Now I want to give you some life lessons of how I realize that coming from the bottom.
Sure.
In many valleys and many bad decisions. And how I came out of that. And today I truly believe I am living the life I want.
Nice.
And I want to help others do that.
Sure. That's
so
fair.
Truly, John Maxwell's book was great. This one's even greater.
Yours is better.
Oh, golly, shoot.
So if people wanted to grab it, where would they go?
Well, there's an easy place to go. They can find me.
Okay.
You know, because I'm easy to find. Till you get
website?
Yeah, or just Larry Cockerel.
Okay.
Just Larry. It is. It's LarryCockerel.com.
Okay, that's Cockerel. Okay, perfect.
Until they get to the 5th Google page, you know, what do you find?
No, they won't get there.
You'll find a what?
A chicken, I think.
A chicken. That's not me.
People won't click past page 2.
You can always go to Amazon, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but when you come to us, you know, I get to sign it to you.
Sure.
I get to write a message. I get to autograph. I get to make it more yours.
Sure.
You know, we can't do that through Amazon. So
no. Definitely.
But they're there. There's some people that I buy books from Amazon.
Sure.
But when you become a writer, I want that little gold sticker on there, on the front that says autographed copy.
I wondered about that. I was going to ask you about that with little gold circle. I'm like, how many of these did
I had some books. I was talking to a pastor and his wife last weekend, and they're going to invite me to come speak at their church.
Sure.
And she goes, "You got that book ready?" I said, "No, not yet. It's close." But I had my little blue business card that looks like the book. I said, here's my business card for the book.
Yeah.
We created a business card that looks like a mini book.
Oh, sure.
For the book. Kind of tells you what. So this Sunday I went there and I said, "I got a gift for you." She goes, "Well, why couldn't I get it yesterday?" I said, "Because I ran out of gold stickers." I want it to be right when I hand it off.
Sure.
And I want to be able to write something to blah, blah, blah. And here's what I think you're doing in the world.
That's fair.
You know, and then I want to be able, and I want to personalize it for somebody.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Cool. Well, before I forget, I'm going to get you a copy of my book for you.
Oh, good.
So you can compare.
I looked at this when I was researching you, as you've done me. And, and our mutual friend who you know and I know told me about it. I love the title, too.
No, well, thank you.
The Bold Business Book.
Right?
You know, this title is much better than Closing Time. If I was looking at this and it said Closing Time, I'd say, don't make me read the book.
Depending upon the material.
Just tell me what page to go to for my 8th wife.
Right.
But thank you very much.
You bet. Enjoy.
The Bold Business Book.
Enjoy.
And I will read.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You got to let me know what you
I'm
think.
a reader now.
Finally, I come across a reader.
Took 59 years. Yeah.
You'll get there. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land, coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Cademan, business coach at Draw In Customers Business Coaching, co-owner of Calls on Call Shared Receptionist Services, and author of the Bold Business Book that happens to be available on Amazon. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Larry Cockerel, author, speaker, trainer, coach. You can find him at LarryCockerel.com.
Pretty easy.
Don't click on the chicken. Find us airing
Leave the chicken alone.
That's right. Find us airing on 103.5 Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m., as well as at sunprairiemediacenter.com. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link, found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week, and I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.